اللغة الإنجليزية الصف الرابع الإعدادي الفرع العلمي والأدبي. درسنا لهذا اليوم الصفحات الأدبية literature focus، يعني الجانب الأدبي. سابقا كانت عندنا ستوري تايم، حسنا ما عندنا ستوري، عندنا literature الأدب، تركيز الأدب. We know that literature is of two branches، فرعين أساسيين للأدب ككل لغات كل اللغات كل الثقافات. First it is what؟ poetry. What's the meaning of poetry؟ شعر. يعني الجانب الأول من الأدب it is poetry الشعر. الجانب الثاني prose. Prose means النثر، يعني نقصد بها باقي أقسام الأدب عدا الشعر اللي تشمل لي story and short story, novel اللي نقصد بها رواية and play اللي هي جزء من الدراما. دراستنا بالرابع الإعدادي بداية نأخذ مقدمة definitions about literature. What is literature؟ بعدين نتخصص لدراسة جانب الشعر poetry، فقط الشعر. بالمراحل القادمة إن شاء الله بالخامس الإعدادي يكون دراستنا للبلاي أو الدراما، وبالسادس الإعدادي ندرس ستوري أو short stories. فبداية نعطي why do people read literature in general بكل أنواعه. Why do we read literature؟ First of all, it is for what? For yes, for interest. Very good. يعني بداية it is for interest and to know about other cultures. And what about poetry? Poetry is the most important or the most special branch of literature. فحيكون عندنا بعد قراءة المقدمة الأولى أو الصفحة الأولى من literature focus يفترض أن نكون إحنا حاضرين جواب للسؤالين التالية. السؤال الأول: What are the elements? You know elements? عناصر. What are the elements of poetry? This is question number 1. And we have to know an answer for question number 2. It is what makes poetry so special. You know special? So we said that poetry is a special or the most important branch from literature. We said that if we consider literature is a good coffee, a type of coffee, okay? And we can look at the picture in page 106. You know, what is this? A cup of what?
Coffee.
Of coffee. Yes. If we said that literature is a good coffee, poetry will be what? Espresso. You know, espresso is the most famous coffee in the world, okay? And the most, or the tastiest coffee, you know. So, we don't mean that these are not important, but we said that poetry is the most important, or in another word, it is so what? So special, okay? Why it's special, we will know, or we will discover. There are 3 elements, okay, for poetry. What are they? Look at the picture. First, it is what? Meanings and ideas. Number 1, meanings and ideas. وأكيد كل قصيدة أول ما يجذبني إلها المعنى والأفكار. So when a poet is reading his poem, you know poem, قصيدة, it is read by a poet, شاعر. So the first thing that attracted my attention is what? Meanings and ideas. Number 2, the sound, of course. sound. الصوت هو جزء مهم من القصيدة، الإيقاع. The sound of the words. صوت الكلمات. و number 3 is what? The look
of the words
of the words on the page. ملاحظة صغيرة. نلفظها words, not words. Okay? It is words. So نعيد صياغة السؤال بشكل ثاني. Poetry is a mixture, you know mixture. Okay? مزيج. Poetry poetry is a mixture of three elements, of three things. What are they? They are meanings and ideas, المعنى والأفكار. This is the most important. أهم ما بالقصيدة. The sound of the words, صوت الكلمات. هندرس الوسائل الأدبية اللي تخص الصوت. و the look of the words on the page هذا يخص القارئ. هذولي to the listener.
مستمع.
أنا كمستمع للقصيدة أول ما أميز منه meaning and ideas, sound of the words. أميز المعنى والصوت اللي تقرأ به القصيدة اللي أنا أقصد به the rhyme. You know rhyme? The rhyme قافية. Okay. This is to the reader or to the poet, to the person who write the poems or read it. Okay? هذا يتعلق بشكل اللي تكتب به القصيدة مثل ما عندنا بالعربي الشعر العمودي أو الشعر الحر. كل من إلى طريقة خاصة لقراءته. This affects this. Okay? So what affects the meaning and idea and the sound of the word? The look of the word on the page. It affects about what?
Listen.
How does the reader read the poem? Tamam? Yes. Now, we said that poetry is what? Is special. There are two reasons that makes poetry so special. First of all, the concentration. What does it mean of concentration?
Tarkiz.
It means focus. التركيز. So, we have two reasons. Number one, the concentration. تركيز، ورح نعرف التركيز على ماذا. ونمبر two, it. What do we mean by it?
Poetry.
We mean with it by poetry. It mixes
These three things.
these three things carefully. What do we mean by these three things? The elements, okay? The elements of the mixture that consists of the poem. So it mixes these three things carefully. وأهم بالموضوع in what?
Fewer
In fewer words. يعني شلون؟ من أريد أكتب قصة أو رواية وأناقش حدث أو شخصية معينة، ممكن أستغل باراجراف 2 paragraphs أو 1 page صفحة صفحتين 3 ممكن. بالشعر هذا الشيء ما ممكن، لأن عندي بيت أو بيتين اللي نقصد فيه in fewer words. لازم أحقق هاي الأشياء in fewer words وملزم برايم. وزن of rhyme قافية. Okay? But that makes poetry so special. What is it? The concentration. What do we mean by concentration?
Focus.
Focus. And it mixes these three things. We mean by the three things, what are they? The elements. What's the meaning of elements? عناصر. It mixes these three things carefully in fewer words. Okay? That's it all about what is poetry. And the answer for the second question, that is what makes poetry so special. أو بطريقة ثانية, why is poetry so special? Okay? That's. And now we have to talk about the devices, الوسائل الأدبية اللي موجودة الآن بشكل definitions. تعاريف on page 107. The first one is what?
Imagery.
Imagery. What do we mean by imagery? الصور الشعرية. Okay. إذا تلاحظون أكو عندي تعريفين بالبولد. Image and motive. So we need to know what is the difference between image and motive. احنا نعرف الفرق بين اللقطة للكاميرا والفيديو. The camera takes one photo, okay? And what about the video?
Multiple
It
photos.
takes different or many photos in كذا seconds, okay? هذا نفس الفرق ما بين image وmotive. Image is a picture. إذا نقرأ تعريفها, it is a picture created where? Where the picture? It is not painted. It is where? In the mind of whom? To the reader or listener. So it is a picture created, or it's a created picture. Okay. So who creates the picture?
Poet.
The poet, of course. الشاعر يخلق لنا الصورة الشعرية بعقل المستمع أو القارئ through a part from the poem. Okay. يعني ما تتحقق قصيدة باللغة الإنجليزية unless there is what? A picture created where? In the mind of whom? Listener or reader. Good. By what?
Poem.
By a part of the poem. بجزء من القصيدة. Motive. This picture is what?
Repeated.
Repeated. So it is a repeated picture. Good. لازم اكو صورة شعرية تخلق في عقل القارئ او المستمع. يخلق لنا اياها الشاعر بجزء من قصيدة. بعدين تعاد هذه الصورة. For example, يعني من خلال الإيمج والموتيف I can discover what is the poem about. For example, there is an island. You know island? Okay. Or a girl, or a child, or a bird. So this picture is repeated throughout the poem. تمام؟ فيفترض كل قصيدة ندرسها بعدين من القصائد اللي ندرسها we have to know what is the image and what is the repeated image. ممكن تكون عندنا أكثر من صورة شعرية. شلون نحدد الإيمج؟ We notice which one is repeated. So this is what the main image, and the poem will be about this image. This will be what is the poem about. Okay? إذا نقرأ التعريف تبع وياي. An image. الكلام موجود صفحة 107 من الصفحات الأدبية literature focus. An image is what? Is a picture created in the mind of the listener or reader by a part of the poem. هي صورة تخلق أو تكون في عقل القارئ أو المستمع للقصيدة بأحد أجزاء القصيدة. بالمقابل عندنا motive is what? Is a repeated picture. Okay? Is a repeated picture throughout a poem. هي الصورة المتكررة خلال القصيدة. Yes. Now we have the second device. It's what? Metaphor. What do we mean by metaphor? Good. Metaphor. And we have what? Simile. What do we mean by simile? So we have majaz and تشبيه. هما ممكن نفس الجملة تكون مجاز وتشبيه. Metaphor and simile. لكن اكو فرق بسيط انه with simile we use comparing words. What's the meaning of comparing words? كلمات مقارنة اللي بالتحديد هما we use as
Or
like اللي تستخدم for making similarity جعل التشبيه. قبل أن نقرأ التعريف نأخذ مثال من خلال هذا المثال نعرف what is the difference between metaphor and simile. His mind is an open book. ترجمة هاي الجملة ممكن تكون ضمن بيت شعري. عقله هو كتاب مفتوح. يعني thus refer to us. قد تكون إشارة to someone that easy to be read. يعني ممكن قراءة أفكار. Very good. Easy to be predicted. تنبؤ بأفكار. What is he thinking about? Okay. So with simile, we will say we use as and like. The same sentence will be referring to simile if we use as. So his mind is what? Is like an open book. عقله ككتاب مفتوح. So why do we use this as a simile? Because we have what? Like the word like أو سميناها comparing words. In fact, بالحقيقة that his mind is not an open book. يعني هنا المقارنة بين شيئين they are not the same. مختلفين هاي الأشياء. Why? Because his mind is an open book? No, it isn't. His mind is not, in fact, an open book. Or my spirit, you know my spirit? And my soul. Okay. My spirit is a bird. Or my spirit is like a bird. هي بالحقيقة, in fact, that my soul or my spirit is not a bird. This is just for what? For to draw metaphor or symbol. فنقرأ التعريف. التعريف لي أيضا موجود on page 107 بصفحة 107. A metaphor compares two things. هي المقارنة بين شيئين that are not usually thought to be the same. من المحتاج إنه هاي الأشياء ليست متطابقة. Now, what do we mean by the two things? Where are the two things? The mind and what? The book. They are not the same. They are two things that are what? Different. And for example, my spirit is a bird. Is that right? No. This is right just to draw what? Metaphor. But in fact, what do we have? My spirit is not a bird. Now, what about simile? Simile is also a type of what? Metaphor. But the difference, it is a type of metaphor which always uses, simile, uses comparing words. تستخدم كلمات مقارنة اللي هي as ولike مثل المثال اللي أخذناه. His mind is like an open book. Okay. شلون تجينا هاي بالامتحان؟ ممكن as a definition تعريف. ممكن what is the difference between metaphor and simile. وممكن نجيب لك اقتباس ببيت شعري أو نص جزء من نص أدبي ونقول لك that refers to dash. Is it metaphor or simile? You have to choose between what? Between the brackets. So if there is as or like, for example, my spirit is like a bird. This is dash. Simile or metaphor? What is that? Simile. Of course, it's what? Simile. Why? Because we used
like.
We used a comparing word. What is it? Like. But if we don't have like, my spirit is a bird, it will be metaphor. Okay? That's all about what? Metaphor. Now, what do we mean by personification? أيضا التعريف الثالث ضمن الوسائل الأدبية on page 107. What do we mean by personification in Arabic? تشخيص. So, من اسم التشخيص personification from which word? Person. What do we mean by person? So, we are going to draw adjectives for human beings to what? To things, to inanimate things. يعني اقتباس صفات العاقل علما بالعربي مثال أذرفت الغيوم دموعها. So that's referred to what? Very close or what? raining المطر ما ذكرت كلمة مطر or raining وإنما جبت شنو؟ تشخيص. شنو التشخيص؟ إنه the clouds are crying. In fact, who cries? بالحقيقة من اللي يبكي؟ humans. لكن أخذت صفة العاقل to what؟
doesn't become as much as a verb as avoid.
Good. And we mean by crying to what? To personification, to give the adjective or to the feeling for what? For something inanimate. Or another example, the flowers are dancing where in the field. تتراقص الأزهار. In fact, who dances?
Humans.
Human beings. Okay. يعني in fact the flowers don't dance. And what about the clouds?
We don't.
Also don't
Don't.
cry.
Or the cloud doesn't cry. So this is said to be what? Personification. نقرأ التعريف. Personification is when something underline this word. خلي خط تحت كلمة something. Why? Because something refers to what? To something inanimate, غير عاقل. Is when something is described as though it is what?
Alive.
Alive. What's the meaning of alive?
Alive.
So who is alive? Human. Okay. Especially often as thought it is what? Human. Underline this word. So it is also a type of what? Of comparing. Okay. نوع من أنواع المقارنة. لكن هالمرة التشخيص أكثر مطابقة الصفات. Okay. So it is also a type of a comparison between two what? Not two things. هالمرة. Between human beings and things. Inanimates. بين العاقل وغير العاقل. In fact, we need adjectives or actions done by what? By humans to be given where? To the entities, to the things. هذا اللي نقصد به التشخيص. واضح؟ فمن يجيني مثال the flowers are dancing or the flowers dance in the field. This refers to فراغ. What?
Human.
Of course the wind. The wind is the يعني something that caused the action. بسبب الحركة. This refers to which one of the devices? Personification. Okay. فصار عندنا فرق واضح ما بين imagery وبنفس imagery لازم أفرق between the image and the motive and difference between metaphor and simile by using comparing words and the difference between personification and what? Metaphor. What is the difference between them? With metaphor, we have the comparison between what? Two things. Both of them are things. And with personification, the comparison between a human and things. And things. Very good. By the way, all these definitions you will find them on Telegram channel, على قناة Telegram, and there will be a test next lesson. هيكون عندنا اختبار الدرس القادم فيه. Now, what about the last device, word sounds? Okay. All the devices that we have tackled اللي ناقشناها concerning what? The meanings متعلقة بالمعنى. Now we are talking about the second side is what? The sound. And to remember, ذكر with poetry you have to mix these three things carefully. So now this was done. What? Everything that is related to what? to meanings and ideas. Now we are talking about the sound. What do we have with sound? Now read with me. أيضا في صفحة 107 number 4 word sound. We have alliteration. What's the meaning of alliteration? Another word for alliteration means repetition. التكرار. But here repetition for what? So we are talking about repetition for a letter or in fact what? Sound. هو تكرار الحرف أو الصوت بالتحديد where in the beginning or within. Okay? Not within friends. تكرار الصوت أو الحرف في بداية الكلمة أو ضمن الكلمة. ضمن عدة كلمات في العبارة. هنا العبارة اللي نقصد بها شنو؟ line البيت الشعري. Okay? With alliteration we have what? We have 3 devices. What are they? First we have consonants. What's the meaning of consonants in Arabic? No. التناغم الصوتي اللي هو يخص الحروف الصحيحة. So we have consonants and we have assonants and we have sibilants. Consonants تعني التناغم الصوتي. Assonants نسميه بالعربي سجع. وsibilants الصوت الصفيري. Okay? Hissing, very good hissing sound. So we know that all these devices are related to what? To a repetition. Repetition of what? For a letter or a sound. لكن نوع هذا اللتر أو الصوت اللي حيتكرر حسب نوع صوت نعرف الوسيلة الأدبية اللي صارت عندي اشتغلت بالبيت الشعري. مو شرط ثلاثتهم بالبيت الشعري، ممكن واحدة منهم أو 2 أو يمكن ما. تمام؟ With consonants we have what? Consonants يعني نقصد بها الأصوات الصحيحة. اللغة الإنجليزية we have vowels and consonants. Here consonants are تكرار الأصوات الصحيحة في بداية أو منتصف كلمة أو عدة كلمات ضمن نفس العبارة. Okay? So it is the repetition of what? Of consonant sounds. It is called what? Consonants. تناغم صوتي. What about assonants? This is also a repetition but not consonants. What do we have here? Vowels. So here, what do we mean by vowels? حروف الأدب. Vowels are repeated. Where are they repeated? At the beginning or within a phrase. Sibilants. احنا سامعين قصيدة امرؤ القيس مكرم مقرن جزء صخري. من الحرف اللي يتكرر؟ راف. نو. حرف الراف. لأن هذا حرف يعطي قوة للقصيدة بالعربي. بالإنجليزي عندنا الحرف اللي يعطينا قوة للقصيدة هو منو؟ S. Sound is repeated. هو صح الأس ضمن الكونسونانت الحروف الصحيحة لكن إلى خاصية بتكراره يكون لي sibilants. What's the meaning of sibilants؟ يعني hissing sound صوت صفير. تمام؟ فبنقرأ البيت الشعري للقصيدة احنا ما نحفظ قصائد باللغة الإنجليزية وإنما نطبق عليها الوسائل الأدبية اللي درسناها. So when we have a line you have to know what do we have in this line. Is it consonants, assonants or is it sibilants? تمام? So the idea behind these are what? Are repetition of what? a letter or a sound at the beginning or within a phrase. So next lesson, you are what? You are wanted to be tested by what? By this question, and they are the introduction for literature focus. Especially we are talking about poetry and the definitions about what? Now, till now, we have just only you have to know the definitions, okay? But when we are going to study ألفا لورتنسون القصيدة الأولى بعد ما ندرسها هنطبق كل مقطع نطبق عليه هاي الوسائل if they are found or not. Okay? That's all about literature focus today. You are going to copy this summary from where? From the channel Telegram in your books, and you are going to be tested next lesson. Thank you.